Yes, people. So today we're going to talk about how to maximize your overall game development in 4 steps. Now, this is very important when you're looking at trying to go up to the next level and understand when a club is recruiting, these are kind of what they're looking for. So they'll look at this game cycle picture, which you're looking at. Won't necessarily look at the picture itself, but they'll look at their squad and say, okay, what areas where are we lacking in this season or this game, or what do we need to do to improve for next season? One of the things, for example, for Arsenal, which was the big problem, not big problem, but the things where they needed to improve on for the next following season, which they've done now, was the transition into defense. Obviously, Granit Xhaka is great when in terms of transition to attack, but the transition to defense because of his legs losing the ability to keep running in behind, or not running behind, but tracking back on defense is something that we saw Arsenal get counted quite a lot and being very vulnerable when we wanted to do that high press. So now when we've had players like Declan Rice to come in, for example, to solve that, we have seen our ball recovery step up to a whole new level now. And so when you're looking at this aspect, you've got to then look at for yourself, depending on the position, which I'm going to go through, how can I aid or how can I add value to this team? So if I'm looking at a team in non-league and I'm seeing that their transition to defense, and I'm going to go through each one what they mean, is lacking, and I'm a very good ball recovery midfielder, I know that I can prevent them, getting hit on the counter, etc. I can add that value. And the manager, if he's good enough, he can see it. So when we're looking at attacking, we're looking at areas such as vision, technical ability in terms of finishing, crossing, final balls, etc. That's more or less on the finishing and the penetration stage. We're looking at transition into the attack. We're looking at building the attack. We're looking at controlling the tempo. We're looking at dominate possession. We're also looking at fluid progression. These are a lot of positional, knowing how to build a double pivot if you're a midfielder, etc., etc. So these areas are very vast. You understand? Transition to defense is basically the ability to mark space as well as marking the player, which is there's a big difference. A lot of players mark the players, but they don't mark the space. Busquets is a very good example of a player that marks the space, one of the best. And Arsenal are one of the best teams of transition to defense quicker than any other team in the league. Now, when it goes to defending, we know what it is in terms of where we're going to do low block. We're going to get the midfielders to fill in the gaps. Do I know where I should be standing as a midfielder, etc., etc., even as a defender, even as a striker? Do I know where am I meant to be to defend? How am I defending? Am I defending the space? Am I defending the player, etc., etc.? So let's go through the basic requirements in terms of your position, and let's take it from there. So if you're looking at to be a striker, for example, and you look at the game cycle, you need to look at number one, the attacking area, obviously, finishing, transition to attack, my movement to get into those spaces, running behind, coming to feet, running to channels, shoulder runs, etc. Transition to defense. Am I helping in the press? We know there's strikers in the Premier League that's been caught out and say, why is he not tracking them, etc., etc. Can I help prevent the counter attack very well? Do I know how to get professional fouls to prevent the counter attack? And then obviously defending, that's obviously your least strongest point. But can you fill in the gaps? Can you come back, which you've seen Eddie Nketiah do many times, and tracking back and helping? Gabriel Jesus as well, running back for Arsenal, helping them. You understand? Wingers, same thing, attacking, be able to get in behind you, your pace, movement, skill, etc. Transition into attack, off the ball movement, going short to go long, go long to go short, curve run, running in between the centre half and the winger. Fullback. Transition to defence, be knowing how to mark the space. And defending, running back, tracking back with your marker. How much players on the under 21 level are struggling to burst into first team, especially wingers, because they are so poor at transitioning to defense, and therefore they're always leaving a right back or left back getting cooked all the time or doubled all the time. You wingers at under 21 level, make sure that you're doing the transition to defense as well as you're doing a transition to the attack. Then you're looking at attacking midfielders. Transition to attack has to be your vocal point, because you're going to be around when it comes to the building and attack, being around when it comes to controlling the tempo, dominate possession, Through progression, you're going to be very important with your movement to transition to attack, and also attacking, finding that final pass, the through ball that we saw Martin Odegaard do to Trossard to score against Porto in the Champions League, Kevin De Bruyne's pass for that goal against Newcastle. So these are the next level. Then transition to defense. Do you know how to do a high press, pressing early, setting the press, and also defending and coming back and helping mark in space. Box to box midfielders, transition into defense. Transition into defense is probably very important because you're going to do a lot of ball recoveries, and also transition to attack. Can you do that third man running over? And also what I think is very important as well for box to box midfield as well is the attacking element and also the defending. Then we're looking at the DMs. Well, is in your name. You got to learn how to defend. So your defensive responsibility in terms of how do you mark the space and learn cutting out passing lanes is very important. Okay, and then you're looking at transition to the defense in that next level as well, and then transition to attack as well and attacking. First thing as a defensive midfielder, you've got to learn how to defend space first before you can look to try and break lines, etc. Because you'll have to be very disciplined in knowing how to defend space, knowing when to press, when to not to press, transition to the defensive situation. Fullbacks as well. You'll be very important in transitioning to attack and transition to defense. Both of them are kind of like to like because you've got to do both jobs, and so there is a lot of fullbacks that are very good at transition to attack, but transition to defense is the problem. That's why we have seen the top Premier League teams are putting centre backs in right back positions because they are able to transition to defense better than a traditional, or I'm just an attacking fullback. And we've seen a success in that, especially with Ben White being a centre back, going in as a fullback. Ake, centre back, going into a left back. Then obviously with the fullbacks, there's also the defending ability that we spoke about in my previous video about marking, knowing when to be touch tight to the player as well, and also learn how to attack and go into the final third. That should be your last resort. But again, it's down to the team that you're playing for in terms of your styles. Then you look at the centre backs as well. You're looking at defending first, obviously transition to defense, transition to the attack, and attacking. So again, if you're a player that needs help breaking this down for you, then you're more than welcome to fill out the psychometric test and book a consultation with myself, and we can look to take your game to the next level. Check out these videos as well in my playlist. I've tidied it up so now you know what you can do based on different positions to kind of get the full IQ. Let's go.